LNER retooled locomotive is going to be the NBR D class 060T Hornby do one, and it's a very, very basic model from the 80s, and it's currently in the railroad range. I wouldn't mind seeing a full fat version with detail and painted stuff. All the rest of that to do with the usual modern stuff this day and age, with better pickups as well, and a full cab interior. They did manage to last all the way through to the British Railways, and all of them were scrapped, and only 40 of them were built in real life. LNER retooled I'd like to see would be the Great Northern Railway Class N2. Hornby currently do an N2, but it's very basic. It could do some cab detail and making it a lot more finer in details. Hornby could also do, or any manufacturer that takes this loco on, could also do the subclasses. So we have the N2/1, which were the Great Northern ones with condensing apparatus. The N2/2, which were built from 1925, and they are the LNER built ones without the condensing apparatus. Vacuum brakes as well for Scotland. We also have the N2/3, which were built in 1925 to 1928 and 29, which are the LNER locomotives without the condensing apparatus but air brakes. And we also have the N2/4, which was built in 1928 and 29, and they are the LNER locos with a condensing apparatus. We've also got the liveries, which they could do with the Great Northern, the LNER and the BR as well. They were all withdrawn about 1955 onwards, and only one is preserved, and that is the Great Northern N2. As a brand new locomotive for the LNER, I wouldn't mind seeing the Great Central Railway Class 8B. It's an Atlantic locomotive. This would be a fantastic one. 27 were built, and I believe they did manage to make it into BR with a few modifications as well. They did get a 2P classification under British Railways, so it started from the Great Central to LNER to British Railways. Would be nice to add some pre-grouping locomotives in different liveries. That would be fantastic. Another brand new locomotive I'd like to see from the LNER in this 00 gauge would be the LNER Class P1. Only 2 of these were built in real life, and they're built by Sir Nigel Gresley. They made it all the way to July 1945. I'm sure Hornby could do a what-if livery on these if they really wanted to, but this would be a nice collection to add to the LNER fleet of people who collect LNER stuff or freight locomotives. Retooled locomotive would be the 2721 class. If I've got this correct, it should be a 060 pannier tank with a half cab, if I have that correct. There was 80 of them built, and they all got drawn in October 1945 and November 1950. Hornby, like I said, do make one to a degree. It's a bit old in the tooth now, the tooling. And like the other stuff, it would be nice if it was retooled to modern day standards. I think it's in the railroad range still. The pickups for me weren't great, but that's my opinion. With the cab being exposed, it would be nice if the cab was painted as well. The Great Western County class, again, would be a fantastic addition to the Great Western 00 fleet for modelers. Like I said before, we have the Kings, the Castles, the Manors, the Moguls as well. And to a degree, we have the pannier tanks from Bachmann. There was 30 of these locomotives built in real life, and they all survived until BR days. They were a 6MT. None of them were preserved, but one of them is under construction now. Again, it's one that's overlooked. Hornby do a railroad one, and it's a little bit better than the Airfix in my opinion, but it's there if you really wanted it, but a full fat version would be great. As for a brand new Great Western locomotive, I'm only having one here, and that would be the 2600 class by the Great Western. There was 80 of these 260 locomotives, or moguls, and they have outside frames, which makes them look even better in my opinion. If I'm honest, I can sort of see Bachmann doing this type of locomotive, and they did survive until the British Railways again, so it's got a wide range there. It was a great addition to the Great Western fleet, and it's something unusual, a bit like the City class. It would go well with the City class. So yeah, that's the 2600 class. Southern Railway retooled locomotive I'd like to see is the South Eastern Chatham N class. I know Bachmann do one, but I'd like to see it more modernised, better cab detail, even fix the issues that it has with the tender connection would be great. In real life, there was 80 of these locomotives produced by Richard Maunsell. They did manage to last till the BR days, and there also was one preserved, so we've got like the pre-grouping, the grouping, and then we've got the BR stuff we could do with the livery. This would be a great addition. Yeah, like I said before, Bachmann do one, but it just needs modernising in my opinion. The N-gauge version is a lot better. Another rebuilt tooled locomotive for the Southern Railway would be the South East and Chatham Railway R-Class or R1 class. Hornby Dublo did do one in double O gauge back in 1938, and they look a nice model. I think they stopped producing the model in 1964. Would be nice to get a full fat retooled version of either class, the R class or the R1 class. They made it into BR, so we've got all three grouping liveries there we can do, and a lot of other ones as well, even some imaginary liveries Hornby could do, or anyone actually could do. It is a 060 tank locomotive. As for a brand new locomotive to add to double O range would be the London Brighton South Coast Railway K class, which is a mogul. 17 of these were built in real life. They all made it all the way through to BR again, so we could do all the liveries. Like I said, it's another pre-grouping livery that everybody likes, and I've heard it around that people would like this model in their collection. Another brand new locomotive would be the Southern Railway Z class, which is a 080T tank locomotive designed by Richard Maunsell. 8 of these were built in 1929, and they all made it into BR, but sadly they all were scrapped, so we get the Era 3 and Era 4 and maybe 5 as well. Would be a great addition to the heavy freight locomotives that are out there, and it's something different and unusual as well. LMS retooled locomotives I would like to see is the Stanier 8F. I know Hornby have done one of these for quite a while, but it's a bit old in the tooth now. It's a bit old tooling. It could do with a really good upgrade, a lot more finer details, and even put the smoke generators in my opinion. And you can even do the War Department and the LNER liveries as well, and any of the preserved railway ones as well, even the Railway Executive Committee too, if you really wanted to. There was 852 built, I believe, or something like that, and they all lasted into preservation and BR. So yeah, 8F would be a fantastic addition to the modern stuff that we get from manufacturers. I wouldn't mind seeing a retooled version of the LMS Fowler Class 3F Ginty. Yes, I know Hornby and Bachmann do one. Hornby's is very basic, and Bachmann's is near enough the same in my opinion. I wouldn't mind seeing a full fat version with cab detail and all separately applied parts. If you can, that would be nice. Again, the designer was Fowler. There was 422 built, and they made it into several liveries or operations. You have the London, Midlands, Scotland. You have the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. I know Hornby did a railroad version. You also have War Departments. I also believe there's a French one as well here. SNCF, British Railway, and the National Coal Board as well. So there's lots of different ones to do, and we also have 9 of these preserved, and the rest were sadly scrapped. So yeah, that's the Ginty class. On to a brand new locomotive by the LMS I'd like to see in double O would be the LNWR Prince of Wales class. I may have said this one before, which is a 460 locomotive. There was 246 of them built. They did make it into BR, so you also got the LNWR one, you also got the London, Midland and Scottish Railway, and you also got the British Railway ones as well. They were all scrapped around 1949. So yeah, there's a one. You could even do the tank version if you wanted to as well. Another brand new locomotive for the LMS would be the Midland Railway 156 class, which is a 240 tank locomotive built at Derby Works. There was 29 of these built in a lifetime. There is one of them is preserved, which is a good thing. Manufacturers always like ones that are preserved. And I believe they operated until the LMS. So you got the pre-grouping and the LMS. Not too sure about the British Railway ones, but very doubtful. The preserved one is at Butterley in Derbyshire, I believe. Other locomotives I want to say here. One retooled would be the WD280. Yes, a Bachmann do one, but it could done with a really good upgrade in my opinion. The tender connection could be slightly better and a bit more detail to it. And a few more liveries would be fantastic as well. Like I said, Bachmann do one currently. There was 935 of these built over their lifetime, and there's only one of them preserved. And they went to many countries over the world. So you got loads of reasons to do different liveries for UK people and anywhere around the world. I think like Israel, Holland, Japan, I think, America. So we've got that sort as well. So I had many liveries. That would be okay for a retool or an upgrade. Other brand new locomotive would be the WD210O steam locomotive. There is 150 of them were built in real life. They are to standard gauge. 8 of these are preserved overall in total, 3 in the UK and 4 in Greece and 1 in the Netherlands as well. We don't have a 210O. We do have a few countries and different liveries that the manufacturer who chooses to do this, if they ever do. You have the Netherlands, the British BR, Greece, Syria, and again BR for the long military railway. We've also got BR stuff as well, not in there. And I think there's a few other countries they went to as well. I think Iraq and Iran too. Other brand new locomotive I want to say is the USATC S160 class, which is the United Army Transport Corps, I believe it is. I know a few people have been craving for this for several years. There was over 2,000 of these built in real life. We don't have one in OO as far as I am aware. We have one in HO, and I think we have one in N2. We do have a few locations for these beautiful locomotives. We have the United States, we have Europe, which is France, Germany, England, Ireland, Spain. We also have China and Korea as well. Like I said, we don't have one of these. I know a few people have been asking for one for ages. We have 6 for the Southern Railway, as far as I'm aware. We have 50 of them went to the London, Midland and Scottish Railway. 168 went to the North London Railway, and 174 went to the Great Western Railway. So there's a wide range there of different liveries. And again, in Europe, like I said, we have Austria, Czech Republic, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, etc., Italy, Russia, Turkey. We also have Africa as well. We also have the Americas, which is Peru, Mexico, Alaskan Railroad, and the United States. We have Asia, which is China, India, North Korea, and South Korea, which is surprising. So we have like quite a lot of variants to do here, and like I said, there's a few preserved in real life. There's actually quite a lot preserved in real life. So yeah, there's lots of reasons to love this loco, and hopefully see it in ready to run form in OO. And finally, we finished off with some rolling stock. It's just one bit of rolling stock, really, and this is slightly aimed at Hornby. I wouldn't mind seeing a baggage wagon from Hornby using their 6-wheeled coach chassis. A bit like what Hattons are doing, but Hornby using theirs to see, just to give a bit more variety to the 4- and 6-wheel stuff that's out there and that is coming. So yeah, mine's basically just that one item, really. There's probably some other wagons and stuff that people would like to see, but they all look the same to me. So yeah, that's the 6-wheeled baggage wagon or full brakes